Alright, my friends, so buckle in, it's going to be an interesting video. With that said, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another one of our weekly My Hero Academia Season 5 discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about Episode 16, a long time no see, Selkie, but before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. So, like I said, this is going to be an interesting one because there's some things we got to talk about. Now, this is going to be sort of a compliment sandwich, right? Because overall, I think as an episode, this is a good episode. This is a strong episode. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like I'm starting to see a concerning trend, and I'm starting to, and this is the terrifying thing, agree with manga fans even as an anime only. So, what do I mean by that? So, this episode is beach episode, in disguise, right? Because, yeah, we spend our time at the beach. We go to the beach, let's all get away. They say what they're gonna say, and what they're gonna say is filler. I don't know what's going on. So I was recently on Rant Cafe for the first time in a while, which is always a good time. I love hanging out with the Rant Cafe boys. Animac, Briggs are always like really good dudes. Recon was there as well, also a good dude. He was another guest on the episode, and we were talking about seasonal stuff. And one of the only shows that a lot of us were keeping up with mutually was My Hero. And obviously, you know, Animac covers My Hero's manga, so he knows a lot more about what's going on, and he was very disappointed with this season. And he was pointing out things to me, not in like an angry way, because I can't stand manga fans who are like, it's different, therefore it is bad, right? Like, Animac's the type of dude who I really respect because he is... It's not about the fact that it's different, it's about the fact that it's actively worse. And at least to his point of view. Again, to me, I don't really know, and I don't super care about whether or not it follows the manga. I care about how it's functioning as a story. And how it's functioning as a story right now, I'm getting a little bored. I thought I'm one of the weird people who likes the Class 1A versus Class 1B stuff because I friggin' love Monoma. Right? Like, Monoma's one of my favorite characters. I friggin' love Shinso. And it was nice to see all the other Class 1B characters get a lot of shine, right? Especially Ibarra, who I think should have been a Class 1A. I think her quirk is super cool. But, like, a lot of those characters, I think, are really strong. And it was nice to actually get some shine out of them. And we get to introduce to more characters from Class 1B that we didn't really know much about, like Shihai. Like, I thought Class 1A versus Class 1B was really strong. But... I will admit that this whole arc is kind of losing me a little bit. This whole, like, internship. It's not that I don't like it. I think that there's a lot of strong stuff going on. And I think that in the same way I felt about Class 1A versus Class 1B, I think skipping it is a bad idea because you're going to miss character building stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of character stuff for the Three Musketeers. This week, there's not so much going on for Tsuyu and Uraraka. Or Nejire and Ryukyu and all that. But it's just sort of nice to be reunited with Selkie, and it's good stuff or it's good cementing who these characters are, right? Like, it's a good amount of just reinforcing who these characters are. Like, Uraraka in particular, we will talk about later, gets to be a big badass this week. But I see the flaws, right? Like, I am acknowledging that it's a little slow, and I've seen some people say, like, oh, it's spoiling things. I will say, if you're a manga fan, saying the anime is spoiling things is not a great idea, because all of a sudden now we're like, wait, that's a spoiler? Why is that a spoiler? Right? You know what I mean? Like, now it's like, okay, well, now I know things I wish I didn't. However, there is issues with where it's going. I don't want to go too much into manga territory and some stuff that we talked about on Rant Cafe, because I know a lot of you guys are anime only and you might not want to hear about it. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on with Hawks in particular that is being shown in the show and was not shown in the manga the way that it's being depicted. Like, the fact that we know... This is like a big deal. The fact that we know that Hawks is actually a double agent and is still good is not revealed right away. That's like something that is saved for later in the manga. I think that works way better. Like, way, way, way better than it does in the anime. I think not knowing his allegiance would have been way more interesting. And I'm not gonna lie, your boy is very seriously considering maybe just reading the manga and covering that. Because, like, yeah. That sounded way cooler. I'm not gonna lie. But, you know me, I'm an anime boy. I'm sticking with the anime because Bones doesn't really steer me wrong. Even when I have concerns about pacing, like I do right now. And that's the big issue that I heard during the Rant Cafe episode was pacing. There's a big pacing problem with this anime adaptation of these recent arcs, right? There's a big pacing problem. And I can understand that. And I think the biggest reason why there's a pacing problem and the reason why we're getting beach episodes is because they're trying to line up the anime to the movie that's coming out. That is gross. That sucks. And I get the frustration. However, I swear, if I see any of you blaming the show's staff, I'm gonna hit you upside the head with a ukulele, because that is dumb. This is so very clearly not the staff's fault. This is very obviously a higher-ups decision. This is like Bones themselves, like the suits at Studio Bones made this decision, not the hardworking staff. You really think the staff wanted to just tie it in with the movie because they just felt like that was the best business decision? You really believe that? Come on now. You know that's a suits decision. That's some business dude who's like, well, it has to tie in because then that way it sells more ticket sales. Mwahahaha. Like, that's gross. That's what it is. And that's why that's why the My Villain Academia thing, the arc that you guys have been hyping up to the moon and back, got wrecked. Well, maybe not wrecked, but got reshuffled, shall we say. Because they can still salvage it, I'm sure. I mean, we're running out of time a little bit, but they can still salvage it. But that's the reason why it's been so truncated, right? Is because of the movie, seemingly. I don't know for certain if that's the case, but that's what it feels like. But because that's what it feels like, I'm not going to go turn around and then blame the series composition or the direction or anything like that, because this seems like they were given sort of a raw deal and forced to tie it into the friggin' movie. Which, by the way, stop doing that. Like, just make the movies just be side stuff. Like, they don't have to be this heavily tied into the story. I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't seen any of the My Hero movies, and I'm not really interested in doing so. Like, so tying it into the movie feels really weird. Like, I don't know, I don't get it. And it kills me that next week seems really interesting to me. Like, Dinner at the Todoroki's sounds like a great time for some character drama and character building, but it also has me concerned because I'm like, wait, we're spending next week hanging out with the Todorokis? Shouldn't we be getting a start on the next arc? Like, we don't... Not that, like, there's not a lot of time left. Like, the season's just starting, but, like, you're not going to build that up? Like, you're just going to spend time doing this? I don't know. It just feels weird. The whole thing just feels weird. And, like, don't get me wrong. Beach episode. Sure. Whatever. But, like, weird. Just a lot of weird decisions. Not bad. Just weird, right? Like, a lot of weird decisions that I'm not blaming on the show's actual staff. I'm blaming on the producers and the higher ups at Bones. Like, that's who I'm blaming. The suits and the producers, not the actual creative team, because it just feels like they were given a raw deal. And because they were given a raw deal, I guess they decided, screw it, beach episode, which is still baffling to me. Like, did we really need a beach episode right now? Weird. Anyway, again, like I said, this is supposed to be a compliment sandwich, right? Because even though I have issues with where the show is right now, that's not to say that this episode was bad, because it actually wasn't bad. Like I said, like, a little weird, the fact that it's a beach episode, but it's not completely a beach episode, right? It's also a fun reunion with Selkie, who we haven't seen in a while. And I really like Selkie. Like, the dude is admittedly really, really funny. Like, I love his whole, like, trying to be cute thing. I like his dynamic with Sirius. I like that Sirius is all excited to see Froppy, and so is Selkie, right? Like, Selkie, Froppy, and Sirius all reuniting was, like, a fun little moment. And it's a fun reminder that Selkie is actually a pretty big badass demonstrating his skills as a top hero and outshining even Ryukyu, who is like the number 10 hero. I don't know where Selkie is on the hero rankings, but he should be pretty high. Not gonna lie, I like Selkie a lot more than Aquaman, I'll tell you that right now. The powers of a seal. That's one strong seal right there. Selkie's just cool as hell. I would love to see more of him in the actual story, not in like filler stuff. I feel bad for Selkie that we constantly see him in these filler episodes. But again, My Hero filler episodes, they're not that bad. They're infrequent, and when they do show up, it's fun. And apparently Selkie is a tradition in these. But it is cool to see Selkie again. Like, I think he's a really fun character. And again, like seeing him like throw down with these dealers, where he like whoops the shit out of two separate dudes and just says like, "That's because I'm a seal." Like, it's cool. He even does like a Selkie punch, like he's friggin' aquatic Captain Falcon. Oh my god, Selkie is aquatic Captain Falcon. That is amazing. But it's not just Selkie who actually gets a lot of badass time in. Uraraka also gets to be an absolute badass this week with some very cool stuff. Like when the dealers are getting away, right? They sneak off on a plane and they hightail it the hell out of there. And when that happens, there's seemingly like no hope. Like Suyu misses with her tongue, Selkie doesn't get like it there in time to jump on the plane. Ryukyu isn't fast enough. I find it weird that a dragon is not faster than a plane. Fire cannot kill a dragon, but apparently a plane can outrun it. Feels weird. But regardless, Uraraka actually gets to shine because of this, right? And Uraraka basically gets to be a straight up badass. Sirius is just like, wait, there's one other way we can get to the plane. I am going to shoot a harpoon at the plane and let Uraraka ride it like a friggin' like horse at the plane, and then jump off the harpoon onto the plane. Wow, right? And that scene is great. Like Uraraka floating on the harpoon and then launching herself off. It looked super sick. You could tell the animators had fun with that. And seeing her like use Gunhead's like martial arts again is super cool. I miss Gunhead, by the way. We haven't seen that man in a long time, like a long time. But Gunhead is still referenced in the way that Uraraka fights, and I think that that's cool. And it's just sort of sinking in like this week that like Uraraka is really growing as a hero, right? We saw her flashback to Deku, where Deku was losing control of Black Whip, and Uraraka just like charges in and tries to calm him down. She does think to herself like she can't just rush into situations like that again, yet here she is doing it anyway. And she has this moment where she realizes she can't stop the plane from crashing, and if it crashes, there's a good chance that all the chemicals that they're trying to stop from these dudes from using to make more of this drug called Trigger, which I do find a little funny that there's this drug called Trigger that makes you all hyped up and crazy. Studio Trigger, anybody? But imagine injecting Studio Trigger right into the neck. Crazy. But yeah, so Studio Trigger, the chemicals from Studio Trigger are going to leak into the water and make everybody go crazy and make aliens show up in the last episode of everything they do. And so Uraraka is nervous about the plane crashing because of that. And Ryukyu tells her, like, you giving up? And she flashes back again to Deku and is like, hell no, I'm not giving up. And so she tries to make the plane weightless. This does cause her to throw the hell up after, because it's an insane amount of power exertion, but she does actually manage to pull it off, and thanks to Ryukyu helping steady the plane and land it safely in the water, they actually do manage to save the day. And again, like I said, the episode, like that part of the episode, like the mission itself, was good and solid, and I think it had a lot of good character stuff for Selkie and Uraraka. But it also has a lot of good stuff in terms of like animation. Again, like I said, Uraraka flying on the harpoon was great, but also there's a shot of Selkie like jumping into the water and telling Froppy to jump onto his back, and they go through the water together. And while I should stress that no studio, like none, has ever nailed water or underwater scenes as well as KyoAni has with Free. And that's not even like me being biased, because if you don't know, Free is my favorite series. That's not even me being biased, that's just like a fact. Like, there is no one who nails water as well as KyoAni does, but Bones animating the underwater scene of Selkie and Froppy like swimming through very quickly, it looked good. I thought that them diving into the water looked good. I thought them swimming through the water looked good, and emerging from the water all looked good. Like the way that Selkie moves and like the ripples that form under the water that sort of distort the camera, like it was really, really well done. And again, like I said, I think the animators and the staff working on the show should not be blamed for some of the, shall we say, interesting decisions that are being made. This is not even remotely their fault, and I can't stand the idea that people might be blaming them, because they had nothing to do with it. Like, this is so beyond their control, and I certainly hope that that's not what people are doing, because it's just not something that, to me, it just feels like it's not. I truly don't believe it is. Like, this to me seems like a decision from higher ups that wanted to tie in this season of the show into the friggin' movie because synergy and marketing. And that sucks. If that's the case, that is super, super disappointing. That is Dragon Ball Super disappointing. And when I say Dragon Ball Super disappointing, I don't mean that Dragon Ball Super is disappointing. I'm just making a pun because it has super in the name. You know what I mean? You guys know I like Dragon Ball Super, but for anybody who doesn't, I do. But yeah, this isn't a bad season. I'm really sick of people saying it's bad. I don't think the season is bad. I think it's just not as strong as previous seasons. It's certainly not as strong as Season 4. Season 4 and Season 2 are still my favorite seasons. It seems like all the even-numbered seasons so far have been my favorite, so if that's any indication, Season 6 is probably going to blow my mind. But yeah, Season 5's not bad, and I'm still enjoying it for what it's worth, and I still love making these videos, and hopefully you guys still like listening to them and enjoying me ramble about my hero for like 18 or so minutes. But there are issues, and I feel like it's fair to say, like, yeah, there's some issues this season, and I still love it regardless. I feel like that's fair, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. There's some issues this season for sure, but I'm still loving it. It's still my hero, and I still believe in Bones. I still believe this team can pull it off, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, let all of AniTube know that you're here. And before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names. And hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that Patreon link in the description. For just a single $1, you can help keep the lights on around here, and I'd sincerely appreciate it. Or you can check out that join button right beside the sub button that gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course your name's going past the screen here. Either way, it is super, super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron, and that is basically it for me. So until next time, bye!